If you're thinking about doing an elimination diet, in this video I'm going to help you understand the right time to do an elimination diet, the right way to do it, and the most common and most significant mistakes that I see people making. It can take some effort to do an elimination diet. If you're going to put that effort in, you really want to get the most out of it. And to do that, you really want to avoid the mistakes. Here we go.
TC Hale is not a doctor and does not claim to be a doctor or licensed in any type of medical field. Don't be an idiot and use anything heard on the show as medical advice. This information should be used for educational purposes only, and you should contact your doctor for any medical advice. Now get off me.
So elimination diets are really popular now, and the reason that they're popular is because they can be very effective. Some of the people that use these see results that are unbelievable and absolutely miraculous, and they see significant health issues just go away when they're eliminating specific foods from their diet. And with a lot of these people, they're kind of looking at food sensitivity issues where they're eating a food and they're feeling like they're having a problem with that food. And there's tests that a person can do, food sensitivity tests, that'll kind of give you an idea of the foods that are giving you trouble. And sometimes someone will do this test and the list will be like, okay, well, there's nothing left to eat. I have to leave Earth in order to eat food now just because they gave me such a long list. And there's also some debate about the accuracy of some of those different types of tests. But what we're going to talk about here, you can do yourself, and it's free. And you just kind of have to go through the right steps to get an idea of some of the foods that could be creating some problems for you. And basically what we're looking at is just some type of reaction that the body is having to specific foods. And the problem with this whole approach is that as humans, we should conquer the food that we eat. We should take it and we should get the nutrients out of it. We shouldn't eat a chicken sandwich and have it carry us off captive for hours and days at a time and make us miserable. We should be able to conquer our food. So the biggest mistake that we see people make is that they'll go into this elimination diet approach with digestive malfunctions. And most people dealing with these food sensitivities got there because of these digestive malfunctions. So when we eat food, this stomach should make hydrochloric acid and help us acidify so that we can break that food down. But it's very common today for someone not to be making enough stomach acid for a wide variety of reasons. But once this food is acidified, it should leave and come down here into the duodenum, and that should trigger the gallbladder to squirt this alkaline bile down to help neutralize those acids. And it's this acidic product leaving the stomach, hitting this alkaline bile, and when they collide, it creates like this sizzle that really helps us bust the food apart and break that food down into elemental nutrients. That's the difference. That's what's creating the problem for a lot of people, is that when they eat their food, they're not breaking the food down into these elemental nutrients like vitamins and minerals and amino acids and fats that the body can use. The body still sees this food as having an identity when it doesn't get broken down correctly. So we really need both sides of this digestive process working correctly. And there's a lot of other things that happen and further down the digestive process. But it's very common for someone not to be making enough stomach acid, and it's very common for someone's bile to have become too thick and sticky to flow correctly. So if either of those sides of digestion aren't working correctly, you don't get that sizzle and you can't break those foods down into elemental nutrients. So when you eat a chicken sandwich, and I'm not saying you should eat a chicken sandwich, but if you ate a chicken sandwich, you want to break it down into these elemental nutrients. If it goes in here and it's still like, hey, I'm a chicken sandwich, the body doesn't know what to do with a chicken sandwich. It knows what to do with vitamins and minerals and amino acids. So when it sees this chicken sandwich coming into the bloodstream, it's going to attack it like it's an invader. So when we're looking at the lining of the intestinal lining, and leaky gut is very popular now, all the cool kids have leaky gut now, and I'm not going to dig into this a lot, but if you want to learn more about that, we'll put a link in the description below for our video on how to fix leaky gut. But what happens is these junctions here become a little bit too wide, and then these food particles can go into the bloodstream where it's really not supposed to be there. It should really be broken down correctly, and then only the small particles, those nutrients, get into the bloodstream so that the body can use those correctly. So if these junctions are too wide, or if the person isn't really breaking down their food correctly, then these food to get in there that still have an identity, and that's what creates these food sensitivity issues. It's basically the body turning on the security system and saying, oh, this chicken sandwich is an invader, So then the next time you eat a chicken sandwich, the body goes crazy and goes to war against a chicken sandwich. And you create all these reactions and symptoms and health issues just from the reaction that the body's giving to that food. And of course, if someone isn't making enough stomach acid, then all these invaders come in on the food that we eat, and we get these bacterial or fungal or yeast overgrowth issues either in the stomach or the small intestine that have the ability to really magnify this, to really restrict our ability to really break that food down and really magnify this issue of creating these food sensitivity type situations. So that's really one of the biggest mistakes, is that people don't fix their digestion before they go into this elimination diet. And when we're looking at an elimination diet, we're basically going to remove all of the foods that are most commonly problematic to the widest percentage of people. That doesn't mean all the foods that we're going to talk about. I know you're looking at some of these and getting a little bit nervous already about, dairy, what are you talking about? You're killing me. But we're talking about the foods that most commonly create problems for the widest percentage of people. So we want to eliminate all those possibilities to see, do our symptoms and does our situation and whatever we're trying to improve, does it improve when we eliminate all the foods that are most commonly problematic? So a person can see a lot of improvements if they remove a food that's giving them trouble, but if they haven't taken any steps to fix those digestive functions, then they haven't really fixed the actual underlying cause of the problem. They've just removed the thing that was poking them. Hey, here's some trouble for you. They removed the thing that was kind of poking them, but they didn't fix the underlying cause of that problem, which was their inability to properly digest that food and break it down into elemental nutrients. So we like to see people fix those malfunctions. If stomach acid is too low, take steps to fix that. If bile is not flowing correctly, we want to take steps to fix that. So both sides of digestion are working correctly. If there's an overgrowth in there that's restricting digestion, you want to take steps to get rid of that. So if you need to learn how to do that, chapters 3 and 4 of my book, Kick Your Fat in the Nuts, kind of walk you through figuring out which aspects of digestion are not working correctly, and if so, what steps will help you improve those situations. And the book is available on Amazon, but I'll put a link in the description below so you can get the whole thing totally for free, and then you can just jump to chapters 3 and 4. And what we're talking about here with this elimination diet, I go over this in a lot more depth in chapter 9 of that book. So you can get, that'll come in the book that you get for free, and you can read through this if you want to understand this more than we cover in the video today. So when we're looking at the how to do this, we really want to have that digestive malfunction repair at least in motion. You might not need to totally fix all digestion before you start your elimination diet, but you really want to be working towards doing that and have that in motion and taking those steps to improve any digestive malfunction. So if you're having any digestive symptoms at all, like burping, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, acid reflux, nausea, indigestion, maybe food just kind of sits there like a rock in your stomach for 6 hours, or maybe even skin or acne issues. All of those are signs that one or both sides of digestion are not working correctly, and you want to correct those before you really leap into this. So once you have that in motion, you want to set a time frame, and you want to say, okay, I'm going to do this for 4 to 8 weeks, and you want to pick that time frame. And most people do okay with 4 weeks, and they can see some significant results in that time period, enough to see what's going to create improvement or not. People that are having significant issues or might be dealing with some autoimmune issues might want to go 8 weeks to give the body a little bit more time to recover from the things that are causing the trouble. But what we want to do is we want to remove these foods. We want to remove all processed foods. We want to just get rid of it. We want to become a jerfer. Just eat real food. That's what a jerfer does. So you want to get rid of all the processed junk. You want to get rid of all sweeteners. But my coffee has this and it's so delicious. Lose it. You got to get rid of it. If you want to see miraculous results and significant results, you have to take significant steps. You want to remove all grains in any form, all dairy in any form, all legumes, and that includes soy and any kind of tofu-y, fake Frankenburger-y kind of things, all alcohol. I know, I said it. I can't believe I said it out loud. All alcohol, you gotta lose it. and any versions of these things. So you can see the list is pretty small, really, but when you think about all the things that go into this, corn syrup is made from corn, which is a grain, and corn syrup is in just about any food that you're going to buy in a package. So when you look at removing any form of all these things, you're removing a whole lot of stuff. But it's important that when you do this, you're committed to it. So if you're going to do an elimination diet, you need to do it for that entire 30 days, and you need to not have a single bite. When you have a bite, you're starting the clock over again. You really have to completely remove that from your body. That means that you have to really watch ingredients. That means like going to a restaurant is hard. You have to know that they're really going to be honest about what they're putting in their food, and you have to be okay about saying, okay, I can't have any of this. I'm allergic to this. If you put this in my food, I'll be dead before lunch is over. So then they get real serious about making sure it's not in there. So you have to be real serious, and you really have to be committed. This is the biggest mistake, is that people will say, yeah, I'm going to kind of do an elimination diet, sort of, you know, it's just not going to work. You have to do an elimination diet and not even have a single bite for that entire time. Now, if you're having any autoimmune type symptoms, or you've been diagnosed with some type of autoimmune type issue, you also want to remove these foods: eggs, nuts and seeds, tomatoes, potatoes, eggplants, peppers, and that means like even ground pepper, and any nightshade vegetables. So that's a lot of things. A lot of people are going to look at that list and be like, what do you want me to eat? But there really are a lot of other foods that are still left to eat. And in the description below this video, I'll put a link to Appendix E in my book, which is this long list of foods that you can still eat when you're on an elimination diet. And when you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot those were foods. That's a food, I can eat that. So there really are a lot of things that you can eat. And when you look at carnivore, that is so popular right now, and it's so popular because a lot of people see significant improvements when they do it. Carnivore, they're just eating meat. So they're removing all these things already, and they're just focusing on the meat things. And they're having success doing that. So if somebody can do that, know that you can remove these things for a month, and it's going to be fine. It's a month. Come on. You can do anything for a month. So you can remove these, and you can make it happen. So then once you've been doing this for the 4 or 8 weeks, whatever you decide you're going to do, then it comes time to test these reintroductions. And you want to do this by looking, okay, how do I feel? What symptoms improved? What got better? What's functioning better? And you really want to pay attention to that. So when you're going to test out these reintroductions, this is also one of the biggest mistakes right here. People are like, okay, I'm going to have a cream cheese lentil pie with a whole wheat crust. Well, you just put like half the things back in at one time. You really don't want to do that. When you reintroduce foods to test how things are going, you want to do one thing at a time. And you don't want to do a food, well, I had some grains and I feel fine 30 minutes later, so that wasn't the problem. I'll go ahead and just eat piles and piles of grains. A lot of foods can take a day or two to create that reaction in the body. It's not always an immediate thing, like I had cyanide and now I'm dead. Like sometimes food reactions take a lot longer than that. So give yourself some time and reintroduce one thing at a time to give you an idea of how that goes. Maybe you do some type of grain and you do okay on that, and then maybe a few days later you do a different type of grain. Or maybe you go to a dairy, but don't look at it like, oh, I put butter back in and I did okay, so all dairy is fine. Keep in mind that a person might be having a reaction to specific types of foods, not just the whole category of that food. So take your time, pay attention to how things go. A lot of people will find that, oh, I do okay on that food, and that's fine, that's great. I'll just go ahead and put that back in. Some foods that may have been bothering them before, if they took steps to improve these digestive malfunctions, now they're going to do okay with it because they're breaking the food down into elemental nutrients. They may be needing to use supplements to do that. They may need help to break it down properly. They may still be working on allowing the body to repair those functions so it can do it without help. But if they're doing it with help, they're still breaking those foods down, so some of those foods are not going to give them trouble anymore. If a food gives you trouble, then leave it out and continue to test other things. Some people might need to go longer without eating a type of food. Maybe they haven't really fixed digestion yet. They've just created some improvements, but it's not fully working where they're really breaking that food down. If the body was really having an emergency reaction to a food, you might need to leave it out for 6 months or a year, and then you can test it out to see, does it do okay? So some people might need to leave some foods out a little bit longer, and some people might have to leave some things out indefinitely. And it's okay if you understand what that is. If you understand the food that's creating trouble for you, you can just avoid that food. You don't likely need to avoid all of these foods indefinitely. I haven't really seen that very often. Usually, as long as somebody fixes digestion, they should do okay with a lot of these. And with that in mind, what's not usually successful, and I hear about doing this a lot, is people will do one of these elimination diets or they'll do carnivore in a hope that they will fix their digestive symptoms and trouble. And a lot of times carnivore can make those digestive symptoms a lot worse because you're eating so much protein. And for protein, we really need to be able to make enough stomach acid to break that down. Protein is harder to break down than carbohydrates. So a lot of people that are looking at this list and like, oh, I'm gonna get rid of grains, I can never do that. I'm gonna have crazy cravings. Because those people are often gravitating towards those simple carbohydrates because they're easier to break down than protein. They don't have enough stomach acid to break that protein down. So we don't like to see people move to an elimination diet or a carnivore diet in hopes of improving their digestive malfunctions because a lot of times it can magnify the symptoms that come from that. But if they take steps to improve that digestion, now a carnivore diet is likely going to be a lot more successful for them. So that's why you hear about some people doing so well on carnivore and some people being so miserable and that didn't work, I ain't doing that again. Well, they didn't have the capacity to break all that meat down. But I don't like to see people do that. I like to see people fix digestion first and then go into these kinds of situations. But again, I know when you look at this, it's like, that looks hard. I don't think I could do that. I'm just not so sure about that. It's possible to start this off with training wheels. And what you could do is just look at the things that you're going to remove and start researching what kind of diet am I going to have? What kind of meals do I want to have? And every day, if you can just make one of your meals comply with this, and get through that successfully, then you can start building this arsenal of meals that you like. Oh, I ate that. That wasn't so bad. I like that. Oh, I can add that in. And just get yourself a good rotation of different foods and meals that you really like by incorporating that into 1 or 2 meals per day to work up to the fact that go, okay, I have enough meals. I'm ready to do this. I'm going in. Just don't start that clock until you've removed all of them. Just because you had one good meal doesn't mean your 30 days started. You got to remove it all before that clock starts. But this seems to be the most successful way to figure out what's creating the trouble for you. You get to remove all the most common problematic foods, improve your symptoms and feel better, and then figure out which ones may be creating the trouble. If you just try to remove one at a time, 15 years later, you're still going to be working on this. Remove it all, make it easier for yourself, make it more effective, and you'll get there. And if you need more help, that chapter 9 in my book goes over this in a lot more detail, and we'll put the link below where I have Appendix E right on the internet. You can just look at it there, but it's also in the book if you download it for free in that link below. So this can take some work, but the results can really be crazy. Now, if you want to dig into figuring out if there are digestive issues for you right now, you can jump over and check out our video on 10 signs of low stomach acid or our video on 10 signs of poor bile flow to see if those might be things you need to work on and correct before you can get this going. I can't wait to hear about your results.